Hello, welcome. This is umbraCoffee episode 58, I believe, and we don't have Marcin today. He's off in sunny Barcelona enjoying himself, so we'll let him off today. But we do have the awesome Kenn Jacobsen from Denmark.
Hey.
Kenn has been incredibly active recently in the community, right?
Sort of.
For those that don't know, I think was it Christmas? In December you did your 24 days of
pull requests.
Pull requests.
Correct. One a day.
Which is a really, really interesting feat. How did you find that? Because I know I've tried to do like sustained pull request challenges before, or even contribution challenges, and it kind of lapses at some point where I.
Well, first of all, I don't know if it's actually a thing. I just did it. We have 24 days and we have various calendars, so I figured, why not raise some awareness about pull requests? And I did that instead. So it was more of a challenge to myself, really.
Yeah, well, that's really awesome. I think a lot of these things are not actually about giving a ton of stuff back, but more about building something yourself and achieving something. I've always said about how contributing to open source software actually is a fantastic way of learning and improving your personal skills too.
And there's no doubt that doing these pull requests and working with the Umbraco source gives you an incredible insight in the whole product and a lot of corners that you wouldn't normally touch, because you're doing this and you're doing that, and you sort of do the same thing time and time again.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess then that takes us to the big news this week, or one of the big pieces of news. There's quite a lot of big news this week, which is if I just find it, there we go. Yeah, it is the Umbraco version 7.13 release, right?
Yes.
Which, as far as I understand, that you have had quite a big part of, given your 24 days of contributions in December. But not just that, you were contributing before December and also have continued.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, a lot of the 24 pull requests were actually for V8. But and some of them are probably still not merged in, but there are a lot of my work in this, obviously. But the thing is, this release it's community at its best, and I'm so proud of everyone doing this, because you have it right there on the screen. It's like almost everything in this release is actually community driven and built.
Yeah, we know that HQ's focus right now is on some of the new stuff, and they want to keep supporting V7, but it's going to take the community to step up and make V7 what we want or need it to be in the kind of longer term, because V8 is the focus going forward. And like you say, 161 of the 172 issues were from the community. I know I got a couple in there. I know there's a few from you. I even saw, on Slack, Paul Seal shared this, which I believe is one of your contributions, which is the
that must be mine.
Yeah, which again, it's something that should have always been there, and because the community, you have realized the need for it, then it gets added.
Yeah, but it's just when you see something, and you can't do something about it, why not do it?
Totally. There's some other really cool things in here, like the better image search and the SVG support, which I know a few of the people that have worked on those. Some serious performance improvements as well, and a ton of UX stuff. I fixed some spelling mistakes, for example, in the aliases of some of the I think it's the icons, doc type icons. The aliases had spelling mistakes, and some editor on Twitter had raised that as an issue. Right? Fix that. Little tiny polishes, but actually it makes the product far better.
But that's the whole point. I mean, all the polishing that goes on right now is just it's important to keep polishing this product, because it won't polish itself, basically.
Definitely. Maybe this is actually quite a good chance to touch on another subject, because this week, being having the first Tuesday of the month, we had Did you see any of this?
No, unfortunately.
So there's two quite good articles. They're a bit more community focused. So the first being this fantastic article from Mike Allen. He runs the Minneapolis Umbraco meetup, which is a really new meetup. It's kind of been around for I think 2 months now. It's not been going too long, and he gives his 5 tips on how to make better meetups and how to put one on, which is a really nice thing, and also great for to hear from someone that's only been doing it for a short amount of time.
Absolutely.
And then the second one was this. I think it sparked a bit of controversy on Twitter. There was a bit of discussion about it, but this was a challenge set by Kyle Weems. There was some discussion a few months back on Twitter about how we fund festivals properly. Should we be paying speakers? That sort of stuff. And in this case, it was Kyle was like, well, I don't really have a solution, but here's some of the problems, and here's maybe some ways we could solve them. I know some people disagreed, and that's fine. I think that this is a huge topic that Kyle has tried to kind of stay neutral on and just lay it out as it is and let people make up their own minds. But it's great to see the community coming around these subjects as well.
I did follow it a bit on Twitter, and Matt Brailsford had a lot of great points on what his sort of did and didn't do. And that sort of made sense to me.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very personal matter.
Carl said the same thing. The Matt Brailsford rule of if it's a meetup, he'll cover his costs and pay for everything. If it's a community event, like a festival, he will like his travel costs to be covered, but he would cover the rest, his time and everything. And if it's a commercial event, so we're talking the NDC conferences of the world, then you'd expect your time, travel, all expenses to be covered. And I think that's quite fair. But the controversy comes about where we have people. Well, the Umbraco community events generally don't have a lot of money in them, and these community events, maybe it's just not possible to fund them in the way that you can with NDC and whatnot. Anyway, I think it's an interesting read, and I'm sure a lot of people will have opinions on this.
I think funding is a fundamental issue on open source. So it will always be an issue when you do open source. When you want to do all sorts of happenings and things around it, well, things cost money. Yeah. And money has to come from somewhere. And if some are donating time, some are donating money, some, I don't know, but it will always be an issue on open source.
Definitely. One of Carl's points as well was that money actually enables better represented groups in open source to get opportunity and to grow. And actually, without that, it's quite difficult. So again, there's definitely the more money we can put into open source projects, the better. It's kind of difficult. I know Niels has always said that what Umbraco is trying to do is commercial open source, in that they have HQ funding cloud and building cloud, and that's a separate thing, but it funds the open source project. I think that's quite a nice.
I think it makes perfect sense. I mean, as long as it's a thing that you can opt out of, if it doesn't fit your need, then it makes perfect sense that you have some sort of, let's call it, revenue stream going on that's related to the product itself. Yeah.
I mean, how would Umbraco be if it was completely free and they relied on donations in order to operate? Imagine once a year they do a Wikipedia-style campaign where the back office is full of, if you donate £3, you could. Like it's just not going to work, is it?
No, it isn't.
And as you say, it takes not just HQ but people in the community to step up and say, "I'm happy to contribute some money, time to make it work."
And when we're on that subject, the only reason that this whole 7.13 release was even possible is due to the PR, the pull request team. They're doing an amazing job, and they really, really need to be applauded. Which is actually a bit in the dark sometimes, but they're there all the time, and it's. I wouldn't be doing all this stuff if they weren't there, because they are sort of making it all worth it.
Completely, and this is an incredibly nice segue onto the point I wanted to raise of Sophie's got her latest docs diary out, and this covers not just it doesn't specifically cover the pull request team, but it's a similar sort of effort with people actively trying to make sure that V8 is properly documented, and also Hacktoberfest as well, like you say, ensuring that people can contribute easily and get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
They've worked very hard on that. So this is their latest diary. We'll put a link down in the description about that one. What else has happened this week? Well, actually, I think there was one huge thing which we may have missed.
Yeah, probably.
Yesterday, Twitter was on fire for a bit. So for the past few weeks, I think since early December or mid-December, HQ have been heavily pushing this. We're going to do a Umbraco New Year's reception. You can sign up and you can join. And I saw Neil's tweet earlier in the week that he had to upgrade his Zoom account to a pro one so that he could stream for more than 100 people, because over 1,000 had signed up, which is the sort of viewership figures we also get on umbraCoffee, thankfully. I'm kidding. I wish. Yeah, that's crazy. They drummed up a lot of hype. They promised some pretty big announcements as well. And as with everything, it flopped. The live stream didn't work for anyone, or there was a few lucky people that managed to get in. So they ended up releasing a recording of it online, which I think, they shared it already. So go on YouTube, again, I'll share the link, and you can watch Niels and Anders run through everything that has been going on at HQ. So look back at the documentation and the pull request teams that, as you say, have been doing fantastic work.
Yeah.
How they've been growing. There's some numbers in here, as you might expect from Niels. CMS installs over 24 hours, and it's a really, really promising picture. And then they shifted on to some really exciting stuff. So we already know that 2019 is going to be a big year. They've been talking about this for a very long time. And something that's come about, they've started speaking about maybe in the past few months, is this idea of Umbraco apps. Coming back to commercial open source, these are the projects that allow people to run really high-end functionality on the free CMS.
Yes.
And make a bit of money out of it to sustain the product. The idea of Umbraco apps is it's just an app store, and it's now live. So you can go on there, and there's e-commerce and and it's kind of solutions oriented. So you need a form, this is what you might use. You need an intranet, this is what you might use. There's some cool options in here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Way back in the day, we had what's it called, Delhi? Long time ago. Tried something similar, and then that sort of became the packet repo, and now we have a new app store of sorts. I think it's really good. I mean, anything that encourages an infrastructure and anything around Umbraco, anything that can push Umbraco onto those use cases that it won't support on its own, well, that's more than welcome in my book.
Yeah, certainly. And like you say, it's kind of this Delhi 2.0. It's hand-picked as well, so it's curated. It's not like anyone can just upload something and make money off it. They're not all paid either. Some of these are free. It's more of a curated list of, these are the go-to solutions for, I need e-commerce, or I need this. From a point of growing the CMS and growing the community, it's incredibly valuable to have this resource you can point people to and say, there you go. This is what you might need. For maybe people exploring Umbraco for the first time as well.
But I think this is an obvious next step in growing the ecosystem and the applicable applications of Umbraco itself. I mean, there are a lot of shall we say other CMSs that can do a lot of stuff out of the box, and Umbraco won't ever do that. And I think that's a really good approach. Certainly. But it also limits the use case of Umbraco in itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So having this is it's a great way to sort of push Umbraco onto the next level of projects.
And talking about going to the next level, so headless has been, I think they maybe released the beta coming up to 18 months or 2 years ago now. People were playing with, I think, Carol Logan was making like Alexa skills. And really, really cool stuff with headless. Have you had a chance to play with it?
No, I haven't.
I've got a little project that I want to do with it, but again, it's a time thing. I've not had a chance to play. But it does look really cool, and it's a promising idea that you could detach your rendering from the CMS. The CMS is just an editing experience, and headless is delivering content to wherever you need it to be.
Absolutely.
And they've said that 2019 is going to be the year for headless, and even said Q1 2019 for a release, which I'm really excited about. So this is kind of their slightly future thinking version of the CMS, or future thinking project anyway for the CMS.
Yeah, and it's interesting. And for me, I cannot see a use case for it right now. But that's also because I'm thinking in technical terms, and I know that I can do a lot of this on my own with any Umbraco install.
Yeah.
But once it's out there, I'm sure the need will arise.
Yeah, the thing I think is hugely powerful is that this could maybe cross-pollinate into other markets. So I'd love to see the PHP ecosystem adopting Umbraco as an editing experience, but still having their Laravel apps or whatever consuming this content. That would be really, really cool. And it should help grow the community, I think. But an obvious use case might be a mobile app or something like that. And again, hugely powerful. It's not hugely innovative. These concepts have been around for a long time. There's a lot of headless CMSs out there, but it's that lovely editor experience.
It's sort of turning it into a commodity, and I really like that idea.
Absolutely. And I think the big thing that everyone wants to know is, when is V8 coming? Well, they did speak about V8 in quite some depth. They went through all the features that it's going to contain, such as multilingual, infinite editing, and I think also the content apps. So this was a bit of a rundown about exactly what we can expect from V8. You've, as you said, contributed quite a bit to the V8 code.
Yes.
And I've worked with V8 extensively too. We've been running a load of hackathons over the past 6 months related to just getting V8 solid and helping people out, finding bugs or try to port packages over.
Yeah.
I personally feel like it's a really, really slick product, and I'm really excited for this. I
was completely wowed the first time I booted it up. I think it's awesome. And it's again, it's one of those, this whole language variant thing is one of those key features that has been an Achilles heel for Umbraco when you do competition with Episerver or Sitecore, for example. It's one of the things that gets Umbraco put out of the race very early on in some projects. So that'll be a game changer.
Oh yeah, totally a game changer. And I said to Niels when I saw him last that actually it's not. I go back to using V7 now, and it feels so horrible. Of course, it's not a horrible product. It's really, really nice to use, but it's the equivalent of going from a V7 site to then using the V6 back office. It's just not as slick, and it's just not as clean. And I think the potential that it opens up is again huge.
I'm very excited about V8, and I can see a lot of applications for it that weren't possible in V7. So I'm very excited, and we are prototyping stuff on it as right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The maybe whilst we're talking about what's possible on V7 versus V8, I know that this week Klaus, who's the team lead for the core team, I believe, he shared a blog post, which is this Umbraco 7 to V8. What's the difference? What can we expect? Should I upgrade? Why? And it really drills down the key questions of, like, what does this mean for me?
Yeah. It was a great post. I mean, it saved me a call because I was actually going to ask him some of these things. But it's a great blog post, and everyone should read it. It makes perfect sense to give it a review.
Yeah, and it kind of answers the questions of, is it going to be ready on cloud when we launch? Is it going to can I upgrade, or is it more of a migration, which they've said you can move your DB over and it will update the schema, but your code is pretty much redundant now. So yeah, it's answered a lot of the questions that I'm sure he's been asked a ton of times at events, and all of the HQ team have. So yeah, really cool to see. We discussed content apps. Did you see Nathan Wolf's content app this week?
Well, yeah, I saw some of the Twitter posts he did about it. It looks interesting.
Yeah, it was really nice. I think he submitted this one as part of the
competition.
Garden competition. Yeah. And it's something he's called Pre-Flight, which I believe he built for V7, and this is maybe a better form factor for it. The idea being it's a pre-flight checklist, or before you publish your content, a checklist of what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Is the content relevant? Is it readable? Has it got spelling mistakes? Has it got broken links?
Exactly.
You can have a blacklist of words, I believe, as well.
Yeah, something like that. Yes. It looks really awesome, and I'm excited to try it out once it's out there.
Yeah, super slick. And if I would say so myself, I would believe that this would be a worthy winner of that Code Garden prize.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first one we've seen publicly announced as a competition entry. So yes, it's worthy. I hope there will be a lot of equally worthy apps out there when we get there.
Of course. I know that a few ideas were being kind of toyed with on Twitter. I've not actually seen them yet in the wild, but we'll have to wait and see.
Absolutely.
So I think there was just one or two remaining things from this week. So I'm a big fan of the unicorner. I was really sad. I think I asked Vera 2 weeks ago. I was really sad about what had happened to it because it disappeared for a few months.
Yeah,
but it's back.
It's back.
It seems this was recorded in December, but it was a great chat from Jim and Joachim. Joachim is the kind of DevOps guy or the operations guy at HQ for cloud, and then Jim is the support team lead. And that they just spoke about the downtime that happened on cloud back in early December, and what happens when you work in a software company when stuff goes wrong.
I know they were kind of busy for a bit there.
A little bit.
Yeah, I think there were flames going out of the building.
Yeah, possibly. But it was a really nice insight into maybe what goes on at HQ. And this is their kind of first major incident. Neil said actually it was very helpful at that point having ex-military people working in HQ, because it was just like, you do this, we'll check in every hour.
Yeah, but I mean, you've seen outages on huge players. Microsoft had a giant DNS issue a few years back that sort of paralyzed the internet. So you've seen this, and it's bound to happen. So
of course. Cool. I think there was one final thing which I had to mention, and that is that finally the recordings of the Umbraco UK Fest talks are out. So if you fancy going to see some other fantastic content, please go and have a look. Again, I'll share a link. I think there was a tweet out from the UK Fest Twitter as well this morning with the link. So everything's there. Please go and enjoy that.
Awesome. I'll do that.
Great. I think I've kind of covered everything. Could you think of anything I've missed? Is there any other news? Anything you want to add?
Nothing that comes to mind. No.
The one thing I'd like to say is a huge thank you for being on today, because when we were talking earlier in the week, you told me, oh, you've kind of got the flu and you're a bit down, and your throat's a bit coarse. So it's very brave coming on today. Again, even contributing in even more ways than just 24 days of pull requests.
Anytime.
What are your plans for pull requests? Are you continuing a kind of semi-regular thing, or?
I did one this morning, so I figure I'll be keeping up as long as I'm allowed to do it.
Wow, 365 days of pull requests next.
Oh, no, that's a challenge. We'll see.
I was just seeing in the chat that Jan Skovgaard is in second place behind you. 34 pull requests in the last month.
Oh, well, I haven't even seen the stats actually.
In 12 months. So you are ahead.
A bit, maybe.
I'd like to see this leaderboard maybe put up on our Umbraco or something.
It's actually there. You have the contributions for the default repositories on the front page, in the very bottom of the front page.
Very cool.
So that's for the.
Does it count for the V8 branch as well?
No, it's only Dev 7. Yeah.
So all of your 24 days of pull requests don't count.
It doesn't matter. But the thing is, as long as the PR team aren't too angry with me, I'll keep on adding stuff.
You're keeping them busy.
Yeah, I am. But I hope everyone is. I mean, the thing here is, I'm happy to raise awareness about this, and I'm happy to do a lot of stuff and spend my time doing it because I'm having fun with it. But I really just want to raise some awareness that this is totally possible for anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm impressed at how you find the inspiration or the creativity to go, I'm going to do this next. I'm really interested in that. I wonder if there's maybe a way as a community we can have an ideas board or something where we just say, I'd really like to do this, or I'd really like this kind of thing.
Well, a lot of what I do is testing and bug fixing. If you look at what I do, it's a lot of it is, I found this, why not fix it instead of reporting it? So that's a lot of my stuff.
Very, very cool. I think that's it. Unless you had anything more?
No.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining me, and also for battling through with your sore throat.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. I think a very happy weekend to everyone. Happy Friday, and we'll see you next week when Marcin will be back, and I will make sure you present some umbraCoffee next week.
Excellent. Take care.
Yeah.